Sanbonani to everyone watching this. This is the first episode of Thol'thuba Athletics, hosted here at Casting Cafe by me, Raymond Bhusesi. What makes this extra special is our first guest on the show is Andries. Now, when I did my research about Andries, what everyone told me was, Andries, you mean Andries Iniesta? And that's when I knew I had something special. Andries, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much.
How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm excited to be here, and it's an opportunity that I've been waiting for.
True.
Because a lot of people want to know about this mysterious guy.
Exactly.
So, I'm hoping that I'll share as much as I can today, because whatever everyone wants to know, I'm happy to.
You let them know.
Yeah.
Again, we appreciate it at Thol'thuba Athletics to have you making time for this. Now, I want to get straight into it. Where did it begin? How old are you? Where were you from? Where did your passion begin for football?
I don't want to lie, I've been playing football for as much as I can do. But what is more significant in my football journey was when I was 10 years old. That is when the love for football started, because that's the first competitive tournament I played in, and of which at that time, I just got introduced to competitive football. I played an under 12 tournament. I was 10 years old, which we won the tournament, and somehow I was the best player in the tournament. And whenever you get an accolade like that, it sparks up something inside of you. So that's when I saw that, okay, so I'm not really that bad at this football thing, so I can actually just give it a try, you understand? But in the beginning, it was all more of a hobby than anything else.
So from that time, when you figure out you're actually quite good at this, because you went on to play football on a professional level. So from that moment to you starting to play professional games, how did you end up on a professional football pitch?
Me ending up playing professionally, it was first it was more about the love of the game and the passion that I had. But I don't want to lie, without the development I wouldn't have played there. I was fortunate enough that I went through development stages. I worked with a lot of development coaches, people who saw something in me before I could see something in myself. You understand? And those are the people that motivated me. And every time when I heard people saying how good I am, I felt like, okay, if people can say how good I am, then which means that I can really take it up to the next level. You understand? So I took that and said that I will take this football thing and see where does it take me. And first of all, I did not have the pressure to succeed or get anywhere. For me, it was more like, let me enjoy myself. Let me see what's going to happen, because no one is expecting a guy like me to get to that level. So as I went on and developing, and people realizing that actually this guy is good, and more people started giving me a chance. So for me to get to that professional stage, it wasn't easy. I don't want to lie to you. I won't lie and say it was easy. It was never easy, but what always kept me going was that no one gave me a chance. The fact that no one gave me a chance really sparked up more things inside of me to say that no one is expecting anything. So what more do I have to lose? I've got nothing to lose. If I don't make it, fine, I didn't make it. People were expecting that. But if I do make it, like now, if I didn't make it, I wouldn't have the opportunity to sit down with you. You understand? I had to break barriers somewhere in order for people to recognize. But what I loved the most in my journey is that I always had a point to prove, and I proved myself in the best way I knew how. Hence, you are sitting with me here today. True.
So during that journey, as you mentioned, there are many challenges that you faced, that you came across. And obviously, when someone first looks at you, they would assume that because of your arm, they would think that maybe that would have stopped you. Many people would have stopped playing and stopped chasing the dream if that had happened. From that incident, what really allowed you to keep going? Because a lot of people would have looked down on you, a lot of people would have sympathized with you, but it takes another level of maturity and determination to keep going.
Yeah, that's true. At first, before I became a footballer, I'm a person first.
True.
I'm an individual, and I have to reflect first on how did it come about that I lost my arm, and what have I done since that period, losing my arm. I lost my arm when I was 1 year 6 months. So all my life I've been this way. There are some times whereby, when growing up, kids can be mean.
True.
You understand? I was always reminded that I'm different from everyone. So me being different from everyone, it was more of a motivation now than anything else for me to show that, this guy, as different as he is, he can do better than you, who thinks that, you are normal.
True.
Then, so the challenge was that I had to grow a thick skin, because I would get mean words. People would criticize me, would ridicule me, would say all sorts of nasty things. But it was all about me knowing what I want. I knew what I wanted, and I knew that in order for me to get to where I'm going, it's not going to be easy. First of all, I'm the only South African player with one arm that everyone knows and everyone recognizes. So, and for them to recognize me now, it is something that I had to prepare myself for. I had to convince people that, give me a chance. I'll show you I can do better than the guy who you think that is better than me because he's got two arms.
True.
Another challenge was everywhere I go, I had to prove myself.
True.
Unlike other players, you find that some players aren't as good as me, but they'll be given a chance because, he doesn't have one arm.
True.
This one has one arm, is more of a risk. You understand? And now as football has started becoming a business, and now people are not into football now solely or purely because of the love of the game. Now football has become a business.
True.
It has become an investment for some other people.
True.
So some people would look at me once and say, am I willing to waste my money on this guy when I can get a player with both arms somewhere else and do the job for me? You understand? So for me, I had to work twice as hard as the other players in order for the coaches to recognize me, in order for anyone that is watching to recognize me. So my effort had to be doubled.
True.
So that is one main challenge that I can say, came up in my path. But believe it or not, I was more than ready for that challenge. If each and every time when the challenge came for me to prove myself, I would just lick my lips at an opportunity like that.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I always wanted to do, to show people that it is not about who you are, or how you look, or where do you come from, for you to get to a certain level.
True.
It's all about knowing what you want.
True.
And find a way to go about it.
True.
So yeah.
I like it when you mention the fact that you had to develop a thick skin, you had to work twice as hard. It is just genuinely to prove that there was like a journey, and you needed to experience those things to be where you are right now. I don't believe in the concept of regrets. It's not a thing for me, but if there's one thing you think you could have done differently in your career, what do you think it would be?
I like the question you just posed now, because me, I'm an honest person. You understand? I know that I had dreams to get to a level much higher than the level I ended up playing. So, and I know where I went wrong in there. As as a young player in the development, you find that the coaches in the development level, they know, they're working with players. They know when you are ready to go to the next level. They know when you need a little bit of time in order for you to be polished and be that player that is ready for the next level. I think one thing that I regret is the fact that I thought I was ready way before that time. You understand? Even though I was good enough to play in that level, but mentally I was not ready to play in the NFD. I was only 18 years old when I started playing in the NFD. I was only 18 years old. So at the age of 18, I thought I was ready because I was good. I can play, I can move, I'm quick, So only to find out that no, mentally I wasn't ready for that level. And when the coaches told me that you're not ready for this level. Stay one more season, and then you'll be ready the next season. Then you'll be able to last longer in that level. You understand? And even go a level higher, above that level. And at that time, I thought, no, here's an opportunity for me to make money. Here's an opportunity for me to get paid. Straight from the SAFA second division to the NFD. And remember, I only played half a season in the SAFA second division, which is now the ABC Municipal League. Yeah. So I only played half a season for a team to recognize me in the NFD. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so if I can do that in half a season, which means one season I'll be in the PSL if I go there. So it was no longer, now I wasn't more focused on my development now. I thought I was ready at that point. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't. And even today, when I speak to Coach Steve, I can sometimes tell him that, Coach, it was a mistake for me to move away from you at that point. Maybe I would have been overseas had I moved away from you at that point. Because he is a coach with a beautiful track record, produced fantastic players, you understand. With me at that time, I think one thing that made me naive at that point was that I'm following in the footsteps of those players that he produced, and of which it was not the time at that time. It wasn't the time. That is one regret that I have in my football journey, but everything else, no, I'd relive it again.
I noticed how your face lit up when you spoke about football and coaching and everything. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have any aspirations to be a coach?
Right now, as I'm telling you, I stopped playing football because I got injured in a way that I couldn't play football anymore. But as you know, that football is my passion.
Yes.
It is something that I cannot break away from.
True.
So what better way for me to transfer my love of being a player to being a coach, because I still love football. In any platform or in any position in football that I can break into a professional setup, a PSL setup, or find myself overseas, I will do that. Hence now I've already started, I've taken up my coaching, and it's something that has been going so well. I never thought that, I always knew that I love football, but coaching brings out something else, something very different that I never thought that I had. Because what I know and what I've noticed in my year and a half coaching football is that I'm not blowing my own horn or anything, but I think I can relate better to players because I understand.
You've been in that position.
You've been in that position, and having faced more struggles in football than anyone, I know what they're going through. I know when a player is just being unreasonable. I know when a player is genuinely, concerned, when he's frustrated, and it's what I love. I'm passionate about my coaching, and I know that one day, I am loving that this is recorded, because one day they will be able to play this maybe 10, 15 years from now. Or when I'm coaching in the UEFA Champions League, or when I'm coaching in the CAF Champions League, that he said it once, that he wants to be a professional coach, and he wants to coach in this level. And if I could break those barriers of playing in a professional level as a player, having to use my body, my physique, imagine now that I only have to use my brain now. Now, that knowledge and those brains of being a player, I can transfer that into the field of play, because I am flooded with ideas. I'm flooded with, I'm always talking football. Tolly will tell you. We're always talking football. Sometimes people think we're crazy. We just stop in the middle of the road and just take markers and, this is the formation. This is what we want to do. They think we're crazy, but it is the passion that I have. It is the love that I have, and I know that one day I will make it to that professional level. I'm prepared to start anywhere. I know right now I've got a very long way to go, and that is a journey that I'm prepared to take. That is the road that I'm prepared to take. If I couldn't get to the Champions League as a player, then I can get there some other way. I can get there as a coach. I can get there as a manager. I can get there as a scout. I can get there as something. But I'm still in football. That is what matters to me. That I'm still in football. I still get to do what I love. I still get to do what I'm passionate about, because everything else comes second. First, it's the football itself, and then whatever happens and whatever comes with it, it's just extras. You understand? If I can find myself in the field of play, be it coaching or playing, there's no better place for me to be than.
I'm really glad you say that, because as I was doing my research about you, a lot of the people that I asked were either inspired, in love, they look up to you. So if I see there is some sort of desire to get in that position, I know the future is in good hands. The passion of football, as you mentioned, is very important, but in recent years I've seen the involvement of money in the sport of football. Do you think these huge brands that invest into football really care about the sport, or again, is it just business?
You cannot paint everyone with the same brush.
Right.
You understand? There are those who are genuinely in football because of the development, who wants to see football in this country or in this world going somewhere. And then there are those who are purely there for the money and for the business. And you cannot falter them, you understand? Everyone has to make money in some way, you understand? So for me, I'd say that it depends on which point are you standing, or are you looking at it from. From my point of view, I think that football, money has made football what it is today. Yes, it has brought about many challenges, but it has transformed football. It has transformed footballers' lives. It has transformed coaches' lives. You understand? Players and coaches aren't being paid what they were paid before. Now, football is a profession now. I can decide that, you know what, I'm a footballer, or I'm a coach, and that's my full-time job, and I can make a decent living out of it. Whereas before, football was a hobby. You'd find people working 9 to 5, and then come back at 5 to train. Yet they're playing professional football. But nowadays, you can just say, you know what, I can focus on football alone. I can put all my effort into football and still make a decent living. And then there are those, obviously, who are in the football industry to exploit the assets in football, which are the players. Without the players, this beautiful game that we love is non-existent. But now there are people who cannot separate business from the passion of the game, from the love of the game. Yeah. So I think it's 50-50.
Do you have any personal references, any brands that you have worked with?
When I was in the NFD, I worked with Nike. Nike gave me a personal sponsorship.
Wow.
They didn't give me a full sponsorship like those guys in the PSL, but they said to me, we'll provide you with everything that you need in order for you to get to the PSL. Once you get to the PSL, we've got certain things lined up for you. We've got bigger and better things lined up for you. So I enjoyed it. First of all, I used to buy boots.
Yeah.
And I used to buy equipment before. And now I love football. I was like, okay, fine, I love football. I get approached by these people, this big brand, that we want to give you boots for free. And in the long run, we want to compensate you for that. Like, these people even crazy to ask me that I can play for boots any day and not get any money. And little did I know that was motivation for me to go on and do bigger and better things. I'm telling you, one of the conditions was that every time that I'm in the team, there'll be some sort of incentive. So I didn't understand why did these people do this. But like now, as I'm sitting, I realize now that it was a way for them to push me to get to an even better level, whereby once I get to that level, obviously it's a win-win for everyone. You understand? Yeah. If I can carry their brand with pride and dignity as I am, who didn't want to be associated with the brand?
It's true.
Everyone would want to be associated with it, but unfortunately, because I can have my own plans, but that is not how the universe works. The universe has its own plans, you understand? True. The team that I played for got relegated. Now I even went a division lower. and it didn't make sense business-wise for Nike to continue with me, and of which I understood 100%, because they said anytime should you come back to a professional rank, should you sign with a PSL team, let us know and let's revisit that agreement that we had together. But I had 2 amazing years with Nike, and I'm still grateful for that. That, you know, from all those players that were even better than me at that time, that they recognized me, even in the NFD, whereby I remember at that time that they were only sponsoring Brilliant Uzwayo at that time.
Wow.
Who was in the NFD. And for me to be able to be classified under that stable, to be with those guys, that time Nike had big players. Teko Modise was a big player with Nike. Sipiwe Shabalala was a big player with Nike. For them to take their time off their busy schedule and say that, you know what, this is one other player that we recognize, who we feel can be an influence, you know. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity, and it's something that, you know, that I can never forget, I can never throw away. So I was blessed in it.
I can see you're well versed in things on the field and outside the field. You really have experienced the whole package of playing football. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to give you 2 options, and you're just going to choose one. These are very random questions, but you just choose one. Okay? Lucas Radebe or Dr. Kumar?
Lucas Radebe.
Man City or Liverpool?
Man City.
Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho?
Mourinho.
Pirates or Chiefs?
Pirates. My friend is playing for Pirates, so I have to say.
You have to say Pirates.
Monara is playing for Pirates. He's doing that, so it has to be Pirates. It was Vets before it's Pirates.
It's Pirates now.
Yeah.
The most famous one, Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo, because he worked hard on himself. He built himself. Messi, you can't compete with that. That is just pure talent that's God given, and you know, I admire Ronaldo more because he worked hard on himself. Messi, everyone loves Messi. I love him. I love him.
So that leads to my next question: hard work or talent?
Let's say hard work, because I'm a development coach and I always emphasize the word hard work, and I always want my players to be working hard. Even though you have talent, but if you're not working hard, hard work will beat talent any day. So for me, I'd say hard work.
Nicki Minaj or Rihanna?
I don't know them.
You're not a fan of them?
No, I don't know them. Who are those?
You don't follow like the American music scene and stuff like that?
I follow, but only guys. I don't follow women.
I think your wife is doing a great job if you're not looking into those women. Andries, I'd like to thank you for taking your time and coming here and basically offloading all the information, the knowledge that you have on the sport. It really means a lot, not only to us, but to people that are watching. You've single-handedly, no pun intended, inspired a lot of people.
No, I'll take the pun.
You've inspired people, and people love you. People are always watching, they're motivated by you. So please don't stop. From us, Thol'thuba Athletics, we'd like to say thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
It was an honor, and I appreciate you guys. You know, all my life I've strived to touch a life in someone. I always told myself that, you know what, even if I do not break it into that level that I want to play, but at least I want to motivate someone, even if it can be one person or one child that says, you know what, if that guy with one arm can play in the NFD, then what about me with both arms? Which means that I can play Champions League and even win the World Cup.
True.
You understand? So for me, like, I feel like, you know what, I've achieved what I couldn't achieve as a player now, because I'm getting more recognition for what I've done, even if it's not a lot, but the little that I've managed to contribute into the football industry. I'm happy that you know me.
True.
I'm happy that, you know, there are people who are going to know me after this as well, who haven't heard about me.
True.
But it has been an honor and a privilege to be a part of the interview, and you know, it's one opportunity that I will not take for granted or will not take lightly. Because once you're not in the football scene anymore, you're not a player, people forget about you.
Yeah.
But I'm really thankful and I'm grateful.
True. the work you've done on the pitch will always be remembered. I need to know that.
As long as my boys will be reminded that your father was once a footballer, because sometimes, you know, they won't believe me when I tell them that, you know, I once used to play football. They'll be like, this guy can lie. But you know, when someone else on the streets says that to them, it will mean even more to them. You understand? So I'm glad that at least in the years to come, my sons will know that your father was a decent player at some point.
True. You heard it from the man himself, guys. He has achieved much on the field, well versed off the field, loved, respected. I hope you're inspired. I definitely am. From Thol'thuba Athletics, Siyabonga.